Welcome back to the Student River Podcast. I am your host, Luke Stokes. Thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate your views and your comments and your listens. So hopefully you're finding this adventure, this journey that we're on beneficial for you and your team. What we're going to be talking about today is marketing. And marketing can go a number of different directions, but what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how, in concept, you create a nonstop flow of not just students. I mean, obviously, we want a nonstop flow of students, people walking through our front doors, but more than that, we want a nonstop flow of highly profitable students. And so we're going to talk about how you find them, how you cultivate them, and really create a system around this process of bringing in new, fresh blood into our businesses. I want to start by talking about the concept of a funnel. Now, a funnel in marketing terms is kind of a buzzword, to be honest. Everybody's talking about building a funnel for this or funnel building that or hacking funnels or whatever. And if you're not in the marketing world, that's probably not something that you're overly familiar with. It's something that you use to change the oil in your car. But the concept applies whether we're talking about oil changing or we're talking about marketing. I want you to think about it like this. And this is kind of a bit of an abstract analogy, but I think it's going to help put pictures to the words, okay? Let's say that it's raining outside, okay? And our goal is to catch as much rainwater as possible, okay? Now, we can only handle as much as will go through a garden hose. Okay, that's all we can handle is how much is going to go through a garden hose. But what is going to help us collect the most rainwater? If I stand outside with a garden hose pointed to the sky trying to catch drops, or if I go outside with a giant 10-foot funnel that takes a huge swath of rain and brings it all the way down to a tiny little garden hose size spout in the middle. Obviously, the giant funnel. And what I want you to understand from this is generating a new student flow, generating predictable, highly profitable, consistent new student flow. You have to go about it a little bit different than what you've been doing. I hear this all too often. Man, if I could just attract the right types of people, right? If I could just get the right people to come into my gym, the people with money, the people that can afford to send their kids here month after month, that is the answer. That is how I grow. I need more people who are ready to buy to come through my front doors. And while that's the case, the problem is that you try to attract only that. In other words, you only want to deal with somebody that can come through that you know has the money and is wanting to pay you month after month. And that's just the slow boat way to get there. Yes, that can happen, but do you want to grow slow or do you want to grow fast? And if you want to grow fast, we have to take a little bit different approach. In other words, this isn't about attracting the right type of people. This is about understanding that the right types of people come through your business and show up looking different, talking different, and learning how to key in on those differences and still convert them into happily paying, loyal customers. So instead of going out with a garden hose and saying, I only want high net worth, loyal customers, and I don't want anybody else to go in here, and I'm going to try and catch just those. We're going to approach this by saying, hey, let's bring in a whole bunch of people. Right? Let's make this huge funnel to attract a bunch of people. And I know that if I attract a bunch of people, yes, there's going to be people in there that aren't going to be a good fit. Yes, there's going to be people in there that are going to waste a little bit of my time. But ultimately, if I go after this big of an audience, I'm going to get a steady flow of people that are going to be coming out of my hose. Right? And, maybe I overdid the whole, hose funnel analogy, but I think you understand that this is bigger than just going out and attracting the right people. And this is a huge concept because this really is the guiding light between those that understand marketing, do it well, and attract massive amounts of people through it, and those that go about it with a way too narrow focus and it fails. I talk to people all the time. Oh, I ran Facebook ads. It doesn't work. Right? Or, I did this tactic, or I ran a radio ad, or I did this, or whatever it might be. And it was just a waste of time. And the problem is that you were too narrow in your focus. You were trying to limit the amount of work that you have to do by only attracting those people that you know are going to say yes. And in theory, that's great. But where the rubber meets the road, it just doesn't work. So, who are these people that we're going to attract? Who are the different audiences that we're going to put in this funnel, this wide open spout at the top, in the hopes that we filter all of that out into a steady flow? There's 3 different traffic sources we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about trust-based traffic, intent-based traffic, and cold traffic. Okay? Now, you've heard me talk about the trust continuum before, okay? You can review previous episodes where I've talked about that. And ultimately, the concept is you've got this process, right? You've got this system where over on one side of the continuum, you have an audience that's never even heard of you. They don't even know you exist. And over here on the other side, you have an audience that is loyally paying you month after month and enthusiastically referring their friends and neighbors, okay? And what we're trying to do is trying to get people to move down this continuum and turn into that fan, the super fan, if you will. And somewhere along this line is where the different traffic sources come in. Now, if you're like most centers, most activity centers, most brands that we work with, you're used to dealing with word of mouth. Most owners that I talk to, when I say, hey, what's your number one source for generating new business? They say, oh, it's word of mouth. Now, word of mouth, by far, will be your best source of quality enrollments. Because if we look at this trust continuum, they're not coming into you over here on the far right where they didn't know you exist. They're coming out to you here in the middle, where someone told them about you, someone vouched for you. And so they're coming in warmer. There's a certain level of selling that has already been done. And so moving them from center to superfan is a much easier task, closing that delta. Now, intent-based traffic is going to be your search engine traffic, right? This is someone that goes to Google and types in gymnastics in Seattle, types in dance in Denver, right? Or whatever it might be, types in your activity in your area, and you pop up. Now, intent-based traffic, what's taking place is the thought has already occurred to them, where they're going, okay, I need to get my soccer's over. I need to get my kids involved in something. And so they go, you know what? There's that gym over there on 4th Street. I wonder what that, I don't wonder what they're doing. And so they type in, gymnastics in your area. You pop up. They're showing initiative. They're showing intent. So while they're not coming in pre-sold, they're coming in still left of this far right, which is, I've never heard of you, didn't know you existed. They're coming in with intent. They're coming in going, I'd like to get them involved in activity. Is this the right fit for my family? Do they have the right class schedule? Is this the right activities? Do my kids like it? Right? It's a different evaluation process. Then you have cold traffic, which is all the way out here on the right. And it is the largest audience, right? Referrals, tiny audience, because you're limited to the number of students that you have in your gym and the amount of families that they can reach. And while intellectually that's a lot of families, it's not a lot of families in the scope of those that are going to participate in your activity. It's just very narrow. And you go a little bit wider, and that's intent, right? Those actually seeking you out. But the widest group of people is going to be cold, meaning those people that it hadn't really occurred to them to go and take dance lessons. It hadn't really occurred to them to put their kids in martial arts. That's going to be your biggest audience by far. So it's way out here on the right. Totally cold. They never heard of you. Highest volume. Biggest growth opportunity. But there's a catch. It's also going to be your biggest work because they're not coming in the same spot. These people over here on the right that have never heard of you, it's not that they're the wrong people. It's that they haven't been pre-sold by their neighbor or their friend or their sister. It's not that they're the wrong people way over here. They just haven't taken the initiative to go and search you out on the internet. So they're starting in a different place. And often I see centers, brands, try and treat everybody the same. A new person that walks through the door, a new phone call, a new email. This is the same response. This is how we answer the phones. This is how we respond, and it's all the same. And the problem is that the person that's coming over here on the side where they're totally cold, you can't treat them the same. You can't give them the same opportunities. You can't expect them to respond in the same way that somebody's coming in here with intent or a personal referral. It's just not going to happen. So my goal here is to shift your mindset a little bit, to take some of this maybe preconceived, like, it's limiting belief. You've got this box around this marketing concept where I only want to do marketing. I only want to pay for ads as long as it attracts the right people. Instead of saying, I want to attract as many people as I can and learn myself, learn those skills to attract the right people out of that audience. And it's two totally different philosophies because you have to approach it differently. So I'm going to talk about the 4 phases, essentially the 4 different pieces of taking this wide audience of both, cold traffic and intent traffic, as well as your warmest traffic, which is going to be your referrals, your trust-based traffic, and create a system that as they come through the doors. Now, coming through the doors, I'm going to put in air quotes because this could be they call you on the phone, they send you an email. This could be they just visit you on the website, right? That is effectively someone walking through your doors. So we're going to talk a little bit about your website today too. What does your lobby, your homepage, what does it convey about you? Are you sending the right messages? Are you asking them to do the right things? And so we need to take into account all these different traffic sources as we create a process of converting all of these people coming through our funnel into a nonstop, consistent, steady, those things probably all mean the same thing or real similar, source of new students that are highly profitable. All right, so the first phase that I want to talk about here, we're going to break this down into 4 pieces. I guess that's 2 hands, but that would be 8. So 4 pieces. We're going to break this down into 4 pieces. The first one that we're going to talk about is a lead magnet. Now, a lead magnet is, it's an ethical bribe. What you're trying to do is you're trying to attract somebody that has the potential of being the right person to do business with you. So, in other words, you're wanting to give them something in value in exchange for information, in exchange for a phone number, in exchange for an email address, in exchange for student information, right? The ability to understand who's out there and who's asking and who's wanting to maybe come in here. So you need to provide value. Now, in the kids' activity space, the most obvious choice here is a free trial. And we've talked plenty about free trials, some sort of free experience. And ultimately, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again because this is still a piece of these 4 phases. Your best path forward as a kids' activity center in generating new student interest across all segments of traffic is going to be a free experience. It just is. I make my case for this in a previous episode. I think it's episode 2 and 3, where I talk about the free trials, who they're right for, who they're wrong for, and then how to do it right. So we're not going to talk about that today. But the classic lead magnet is this free trial, this free experience. Now, another way that you could do this would be some sort of evaluation or some sort of tour, right? Come in and take a tour of our facility for free. Come and take an evaluation. You see this real common in like the fitness gym space. Like, come in and check out all of our workout rooms and all of our equipment, and we'll give you the tour of the gym. Okay, it's a chance to have a sales conversation, right? So it's a way to attract those people in. Another way could be some sort of enrollment incentive or event discounts, like sign up today for a 50% off Parents' Night Out coupon, right? Or, sign up for a free open gym spot or something like that. Now, we have to think, and there's one final one here, not one final one. There's just one additional one that I wanted to also talk about, and that is some sort of PDF, some sort of downloadable guide would be another route that you could go. An example of this might be 7 5-minute recipes that moms can use to improve performance before activities, right? Because what mom isn't trying to shove food in her kid's face before they get to your class, right? All of them. And so, there's a lot of ways that could go. But what I want you to understand here as you think about this lead magnet process is that it's going to be specific for the traffic that you generate. And the prime placement for this isn't at your gym. It's in all of your digital spaces. It's going to be on your website, on your Yelp page, on your Google Maps placement, right? You have the ability to control messaging and communication in all of those areas. Your website's going to be the main one. And you need to make sure that your website is carrying this message forward, that you have something that you want them to sign up for, something that's going to make the right person, the right family that is visiting your website interested, curious in exchanging my email and first name for something. Now, once you have that, you can now add those people to a list and communicate with them, invite them to special events, tell them about enrollment offers, camps, et cetera, et cetera. And we talked about that in a previous episode as well with talking about email marketing. So go listen to that one if you haven't listened to that. Like once you collect all these email addresses, what do I send to them? I did a whole episode on that. But what we're doing is we're creating this list of people. So on your website, you want to make this very prominent. You want to make this opportunity for a free trial, a free experience, a tour, an evaluation, a discount to an open gym, a parents' night out, a discounted birthday party, right? Something that they can sign up for that they, without them having to do any business with you, it starts this process of moving them down the line where they're willing to do the first exchange of trust, right? That's all this is this is an exchange of trust at different stages. So I'm going to give you my first name and email address in exchange for this PDF guide. I'm going to give you my first name and email address and phone number in exchange for a 25% off birthday party. I'm going to give you something in exchange for something. And this is the first opportunity to build that trust into this. This is also the exact same process when they pull out their wallet to give you money, right? I'm going to pull out my wallet and give you money in exchange for a class, as an experience, a birthday party, right? It's the same exchange in trust. This is just earlier on in the equation. And the more cold the traffic gets, the more aggressive you have to be in your lead magnet because there's not a level of trust. So, for example, if you're dealing with cold traffic, as in you want to attract a huge audience, which is where your highest volume is, you're going to, my recommendation is to put together some sort of free experience that they can come and participate in. If you're only doing intent-based or you're only doing word of mouth, you can probably get away with a free evaluation, right? If my sister told me to bring my kids into you, I don't need you to necessarily give me a free trial. Just, hey, come down. We'll do a free evaluation. We'll see what classes your kids should be in. We'll give you a tour of the place. We'd love to have you, right? You get it, and that's enough because my sister already sold me on you, okay? So depending on where the traffic is going to depend on the level of aggressiveness that you need to have with this lead magnet. And the lead magnet is designed to generate this list of people that we can now then take to the next level in this process. All right, we got that. We have a lead magnet. The next piece of this is something you haven't heard me talk about yet, and that's called a tripwire. Now, a tripwire is the first opportunity to have the next exchange in trust. This one, though, is a little bit more trust than an exchange of information like first name, last name, email address, and phone number. This one's going to involve a little bit of dollars. And this is our first opportunity to have a transaction where you get me to pull out my wallet. This is very key. Now, depending on this equation, you don't necessarily always need to have a tripwire, okay? But if you're having a hard time getting colder traffic to convert, this may be something that you want to consider inserting into this process of moving them down this funnel. Gosh, sorry to whack the microphone. Of moving them down this funnel, right? Going from cold all the way down to a nice steady hose of traffic coming out. Okay, so a tripwire is a low-cost offer that gets them to participate with you on some level. This is a $10 open play, right? Where they can come and you have just an open play session where they can experience what it is that you do, right? That might be an open gym, that might be an open swim, that might be, whatever that might be, but an open play session of some kind. Another one might be a parents' night out or a kids' night out opportunity, where you are, hosting a evening event, or it could be a morning event, a mom's morning out, right? Mom's morning errand run, where you're hosting 2, 3, 4 hours of essentially babysitting, if we're being honest, right? Where you're providing the opportunity to the kids to come and play, and mom and dad to go and have another life outside of their kids, right? Let's call it what it is. And so this would be another opportunity where it's a low cost that you can get them over the edge of starting to interact with you, starting to do business with you. The goal is to move them down this line. But you also have to remember that you have to move them down this line. They're not going to move down this automatically. In other words, they're not just going to sign up and then without any type, sign up for a PDF guide or sign up for, an event discount or something, and then all of a sudden sign up for a parents' night out. That's not how this happens. You have to move them. You have to create intentional process to move them down this path. That's where the email marketing comes in, the text marketing, phone calls. That's where this comes in to move them to this next stage. Now, some are going to move automatically, but you may have to create systems. My recommendation is create systems. Create an email marketing campaign that's designed to come down this path. Create a text messaging campaign that's designed to move them down this path. Okay, so you have a tripwire. It's that first opportunity to exchange information, to exchange money. Excuse me. The first opportunity to exchange information was the lead magnet. Thought I missed that, didn't you? Nice catch. All right, so we have a tripwire. The next piece of this is your core offer. Okay, so your next piece of this is probably your weekly class, right? This is your $100 a month weekly class that they come and participate with you on a weekly basis. This is their opportunity. This is this is their first step in becoming a part of your community. Just because they go to a parents' night out, just because they go to an open gym, doesn't mean that they're part of your community. It means, or not a part of your family. They're certainly a part of your community in the context of geography, but not a part of your family there at your brand. And so what we want to do is we want to then help them take this next stage, take this next step. So if you have an open gym that's every Saturday from 12 to 2 or whatever that is, everybody that comes through those doors needs to go on a list so that you can follow up down the line. You create another advertising campaign, another marketing campaign, another email list, another text message campaign to then take those people that came from the open gyms and move them to enrollment. Okay? They're not going to do it on their own. Just because they show up for an open play session does not mean that they're going to show up and enroll. Doesn't work that way. You have to intentionally build in this process of moving them along this transaction line. Okay, so you have an enrollment process, right? This enrollment experience where they're going to come to you every single week. All right. This is where you're going to make the bulk of your money. This is where your ultimate goal is to get them. But there's another stage of this. There's another step to this equation, and that is what we call the profit maximizer. So we've got the lead magnet, the tripwire, the core offer, and now we have the profit maximizer. The profit maximizer is where you take those that are already involved in your core offer and you maximize the amount of LTV that they're generating. That stands for lifetime value. I'll talk about that in another episode. But what you're doing is essentially you're raising the amount of value that this student family brings to you. So this, remember when I started this episode, I talked about not just creating a steady flow of new students, but a steady flow of highly profitable new students. So the profit maximizer is where the highly profitable part comes from, okay? So this is where you take someone from attending 1 class a week to attending 2 classes a week, all right? What's your incentive to have them do that? What's your path? What's your message? How is this communicated that this is even an option or a recommended path for them? You're going to create another system to go from enrollment to profit maximizer. You need another email marketing campaign, text message marketing campaign, salesperson on your floor. Guys, every step of this process needs to be systematized so that when you dump people in the top of the funnel, they work their way all the way through without you having to manually move them through. You can create systems to do all this through automation. So, multiple classes, bumping up to a team or a pre-team type experience where they're on the competitive track now. That's worth more money. Another one might be camps, right? Taking a holiday camp, taking a summer camp, and adding that into the mix. Getting people to buy through your pro shops and your snack bars and your juice bars or whatever it is that you have there at your facility. Getting them to book their birthday parties with you and so on and so forth. These are all profit maximizers. These are things that you add on to someone that's already paying you month after month that makes them more valuable, okay? So there's 4 stages that this goes through. You have your lead magnet. This is your exchange of information. This is your very first interaction. And the colder the traffic, the more aggressive the approach is going to have to be. Then you have a tripwire. This is the next step. Now you can get some people to go from lead magnet to core offer, like especially in a free trial type situation. You can get them to come in and take a free trial and then go straight to enrollment because your lead magnet was so aggressive. That was an experience, right, with your free trial. So the lead magnet in a free trial isn't just an exchange of information. It's a significant exchange of information. It's students' birth dates and addresses and an hour and a half to 2 hours if you include drive time of commitment to come and show up and attend a class, right? So there's a lot of momentum that has been created with that. So going from that to an enrollment isn't that far of a stretch. But if your sign up on your website is, and since I paused there, since I mentioned website, let's pause here for a second. I want to talk about your websites for a moment. This is something you need to make very prominent on every page. When they show up on your site, you need to make sure that you're shouting from the rooftops what your lead magnet is and that's the intended action that you want them to take. Yes, they can go look at all your classes. They can look at all your schedules. They can look at a map of where you're at. They can look at, your photos from your last competition. They can look at your blog posts. They can look at all those things. All those things are available. But your primary thing that you want them to do is to sign up for your lead magnet so that you have these people that you can work with. You have a big audience that you can, when enrollment's dipping, you can send them information and say, hey, 50% off the next month of enrollment if you sign up today, right? And if you had 2,000 people in this list from your community, getting a few people to sign up, getting 10 people to sign up, creating enrollments from that can become very, very simple. But you've got to get a bunch of people into your list to be able to do this. So if you want this to be very prominent, you want it to be the main thing that you want them to do when they get to your site. It's got to be the focal point of what this value proposition is. Hey, I want you to give me your name and email address. In exchange, I'm going to give you this. Okay. So what was I saying? Free trial to enrollment, very possible. But the lower the aggression on the lead magnet, like let's say that you're giving them hey, sign up for a 25% off birthday party coupon, right? Still very attractive. But there's no experience that's built into it. So from that, if they sign up for that, you may have to say, hey, come and take an open gym class on us, right? Or here's, instead of $10, this Saturday we're doing $5 open gym. Come and experience this with us, right? You're moving them down this line, okay? So you've got a lead magnet, you've got a tripwire, then you have a core offer, and then you have a profit maximizer. The 4 phases of creating this flow of going from a wide audience of all these people out here that you could, how many kids, think about this for a second. Let's just pause. How many kids are in your neighborhoods surrounding your gym, your pool, your dance studio? How many kids? A lot. 1,000? 10,000? Probably depends on your demographic density, but a lot, right? How many of those do you have email addresses for? Very small percentage. So tiny. And so that is your first thing, is we've got to get these people into our database. We got to get these people in so that we can have conversations. We can tell them about what we do. And you can create this by having these opportunities for them to exchange information. Right? So we're creating this big wide funnel. And once you have a successful lead magnet, advertising for it, running ads on Facebook now becomes very, very simple, because you're not going out and only sending it to just people that have the money, that shop at Nordstrom's and drive a Mercedes and they have the money. That's a ridiculous way to go about this. You're saying, hey, all of the people in the neighborhoods, all of you, like all the moms, come. I want you to sign up for this discount, this free experience, this guide to make dinner time less hassle, quicker, more efficient, better performance when they go to their activities, right? Whatever that might be. And it allows you to now go out and spend money confidently, because you can put people in the top of your funnel and you know who's going to come out because you've created the system to move them down the line, okay? So the 4 phases, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. I probably am. Lead magnet, tripwire, core offer, profit maximizer. Create a system to move them down each step along the way, okay? And if you do this, you will create a steady flow of 3 different traffic sources, and moving them down this path of going from no interest or cold traffic or they've never heard of you, all the way through loyally paying you month after month, enthusiastically referring their friends, and a long-term super fan for your business. Hopefully that system makes sense. Hopefully this process makes sense. If you guys have questions, you want a little bit more specifics, you want me to apply it to your particular brand, leave comments. Let me know. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. What do you need more information on? Thank you for joining us today. Hopefully this process gives you a bigger picture on how marketing could work for your business. I look forward to talking to you next time around. Have a great day.